It's party time, my golf story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers. And the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com. Now here's your host, Kevin Walsh.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the program. Got a great one for you coming up. Just our second female guest of the podcast. It's Party Time, My Golf Story. And boy, does she have a great story to tell. Multiple stories to tell. Tracy Welch, who at one time was considered the best female golfer on Wall Street. She is the cousin of Brad Faxon. She's a mom of three. She's in the wealth management business. And she has played in 24 USGA championships. Her start in golf, her family's golf story in many different ways is fascinating. So we're going to bring her on board in just a little bit. Definitely, you're going to want to stick around for that. I wanted to do a couple things. I wanted to talk a little bit of business as I often do. First of all, an update just on the growth of the podcast and ask for help. Subscribe to this and also like this. If you're watching on or listening on Apple, the Apple platform, 5-star review would go a long way. Why do we ask that? You hear a lot of podcasters say that before, and they almost just say it like it's a nothing thing. What it does for the jabronis and the bean counters at different platforms, they mark that stuff, and it helps push you along in marketing platforms, and ultimately you can get paid for that. As far as viewership on YouTube, and YouTube is the king right now, we are now at over 95,000 views. I almost can't believe it, because when we started the podcast 3 months ago, we thought if we could get 200 regular viewers and listeners, it would have been worthwhile. And we're at 95,000. How did that happen? I think the way it happened is because we've created a golf community where people come here and they don't get tired of listening to stories of interesting people. And that's what we're going to have for you today with Tracy Welch. All right. So like it and subscribe to it. And tell somebody about it. That's the best thing that you can do. Big thanks to Party Drinks. That is the title sponsor of our program here. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, if you're tired of beer and those crappy seltzers, try a Party. For golfers, by golfers. It makes all the difference in the world. One of the places that I want to highlight around the Suncoast region is the Links at Greenfield Plantation. All right. Big customer. So go play golf there. Get some Party, and on the way out across the street, fill up for gas at Lucky Mobile, and tell my buddy Val that Kevin sent you. All right, you can get some Party for the way home, or for when you get to home, and you can drink it safely. Also, big thanks to the golf real estate team of Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh. If your dream is to live in a golf resort community or on a golf course, there's nobody better than Gene and Vince. Suncoastdreams.com is how you can get in contact with them. They are located at Lakewood National Golf Club, which is the home of 2 Arnold Palmer golf courses, and also the host of the LECOM Classic in late April. That's a Corn Ferry Tour event. It is the best golf community in America. 1,500 homes. Currently 41 are available for sale and 100 for rent. So if your dreams are to come here and spend some time in a great golf community, the best golf community in Florida, then Gene and Vince can help you out. So check them out. Their number scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Number is 941-220-4000. Okay, enough of the housekeeping stuff. Let's bring the big star of the show on here, Tracy Welch. I am so glad that you're with us. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time, and you're pretty excited too, aren't you?
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. This is fantastic.
Where are you joining us from?
So I'm in Massachusetts, which is quite cold and rainy right now. And I'm physically on the 3rd floor of our house. This is our extra bedroom that when COVID hit, I turned into my home office.
Not much golf going on right now in Massachusetts. What did you do this weekend?
No, there's some skiing going on, but no golf.
Hey, let's have some fun right out of the gates. How did you end up being named the best female golfer on Wall Street? And how is that? I mean, that just sounds like an incredible title to have.
Yeah, no, it was pretty crazy. I was at work one day and I got a phone call and I kind of thought it was a spam call, but it ended up being a reporter from Golf Digest who had a lot of questions. And so they ended up publishing an article. I think it was like October of 2007. It was probably pretty hard for anyone to find a copy of the magazine because I think I bought them all to like share with my family. But I was number 25 overall, and I was the number one woman. So the number one was Trip Keeney, obviously a spectacular golfer, Walker Cup player, and so. But it was fun. It was very exciting.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the beginning. Where does your golf journey begin? Tell me the town that you grew up in, and maybe what life was like back then in your neighborhood.
Sure. So I grew up in Winchester, Massachusetts, which is 8 miles north of Boston. And pretty much as soon as I could walk, I had a golf club in my hand. My parents still have it in the basement. It's kind of a Fred Flintstone type club, like a big orange mallet, so orange and blue putter. And so I would putt that around the house. My parents were super into golf. Actually, their first date was on a golf course. So it was something that I always did when I was little. At times I didn't get beyond the ball washer on the first hole. And a lot of times we played 3 holes. But when my first official tournament was a little Father's Day putting contest in 1976 when I was 4 years old. So going back a long time. And then from there, I got a lot more into it as I got older. And then starting at age 12, every summer from like 12 to 19, I went to golf camp. So it was just something I was quite passionate about.
Now, there was some tennis mixed in, and did you like it? Did you not really like? What's the tennis story?
So my mom, very accomplished golfer in her own right. So she won the Mass State Juniors, which is 13 and under, and the Mass State Juniors. But she always felt that there weren't a lot of girls that played golf. And so she very much was always encouraging me to play tennis. And I was like pretty good at tennis. But she was, wanted me to pursue it. And then at one point, I guess when I was 11, I came in third in the Mass State Juniors for golf. And then the next summer I was in a town tennis tournament and I got completely smoked. It was like the 12 and unders. I think I lost 6-0, 6-0. And I was like, this is it. I am like not doing this tennis thing anymore. And it wasn't because I like lost and felt defeated. I'm just like, I'm not passionate about this. Like, I'm good at golf. Like, let me pursue that. So she backed off after that.
Well, I know you're good at golf because I can easily access but I've seen your golf up close. I've caddied for you twice. I mean, what was that experience like? Were you like, who's this bum that they stuck me with? What's your memory of me caddying for you?
It was the exact opposite. So as you know, we're at like a member 3 guest at the country club in Brookline. And all of a sudden I heard you were caddying. I'm like, wait, I have a sports anchor, like reporter on TV caddying for me. So it kind of like threw me for a little bit. And then obviously you're, a fantastic caddy, but like such an interesting person. And then hearing that, you had played golf at Purdue, a varsity golfer. So I just remember it was certainly like a lot of fun. So.
Well, your game was great. I remember that. But you had a peculiarity about how you liked having the flag stick attended. Tell me about that.
Well, so it's not an issue anymore because you can just leave the pin in. But I always was very specific early on when I was starting a round because it's awkward to tell a caddy something like midway through the round. But just like when you hold the pin, I want it straight up and down. Visually, it doesn't appeal to me when sometimes caddies would try to give it the pro look and like lean it back. And so it just didn't work for me. So I probably, like, knowing me, I probably told you like when we were on the first tee, look, I just don't like that. So.
No, yeah, I remember exactly what it was because it was clear I was tending it and you said, hey, make sure you hold that straight up. That's exactly how I like it too. I hate the pro lean. It's such pro jock stuff. It doesn't look, you would never putt to a hole that looks like that. Right. What are we doing? So I'm with you on that one because if it doesn't look right, how are you going to make a putt?
Right.
I mean, come on now. Now we don't have to worry about it so much with the rule changes. No. But one of the unintended consequences of that is I think it's actually slowed the game down a little because I wanted it. I wanted it out. And then it's limited space to put your hand in the hole. So the hole's getting damaged about that.
Yeah, I definitely think that about the holes getting damaged. I mean, and I usually what I've tried to do is like first hole, like, just ask people, do you like it in or out? And I'm generally like, I like it in unless I'm within about like 10 or 12 feet and then I want it out. And I think there's a fair amount of people that I play competitive golf with who have that same opinion, but then some people just want it in the whole time. But I agree. Now you have to chat about it, whereas you didn't.
Yeah.
Before.
All right. Tell me about mom and dad. Your dad was very influential on the golf scene, and I think a lot of caddies perhaps owe him a bit of debt.
Yeah. So, my parents are great. As I mentioned, their first date was on the golf course, and very like supportive of my golf. My mom really, a terrific golfer. As I mentioned, she won the state junior juniors. And, she's, brought me to like some really like from Massachusetts. We went to some really like strange places for junior golf together. I remember sitting somewhere in, I guess, Iowa, listening to the Hog Report, when I was getting ready to play in an AJGA golf tournament. And I was like, okay, the expression, you're not in Kansas anymore. I'm like, we're not in Boston anymore. So, but so she was, so helpful. She's an unbelievable like putter. She had the flex-in putting stroke. She just would make everything, it seemed. And we won some state mother daughters together. And then my dad, he was a hockey goalie. He had played at Harvard, and then subsequently played like semi-pro for the Carling Black Labels, and he like loved golf. And once he stopped playing hockey, he turned all his attention to golf. So he's caddied for me. I think he's been on the bag for like 21 of the 24 USGA championships. Although my mom's claim to fame is that she caddied for me in the qualifier for the Women's US Open. So, so she got me to the big event.
Yeah, that's cool. And your dad was helpful to caddies because he helped set up caddy camps on.
Oh no,
on
that
Cape
was actually
Cod.
my mom's dad, Raymond Faxon.
Oh, okay.
So he down the Cape, he and his brother George, like in 1929, established a caddy camp at Woods Hole Golf Course, and then I believe it was also one at Wayano, and they ran that, and so kids would make like $1.75 a round, which apparently was like a reasonable amount of money then, and they would get to play at the course at night. So that ended in the 1950s, but Woods Hole actually named the pro shop after him, which is like really cool. And he was honored. The Francis Ouimet Society is a big nonprofit in the Boston area or New England to support caddies, and was a lifelong supporter of that. So
that's what I'm getting at. I'm sorry if I cross-pollinated. And I know from having caddied at the country club where you're a member, and also Wellesley Country Club, there were a number of young men and some women that were on the Ouimet scholarship. And so I appreciate what your family has done.
Helping get kids to go to college. I mean, there's nothing more. I'm like, just education is so important.
Well, certainly for you. Where you went to school. I want to get into that in just a second. But while we're talking about your mom just recently, first time you beat your mom, why was that a tipping point for you? So
that was a big deal for me. So I had already won. I won the state juniors at 13, and then I won the state juniors at 14, which was the 14 to 17-year-old division. So that was like a big deal for me. But what my dad said to me is like, listen, you can't start playing these national junior golf tournaments until you can beat your mother. So okay, so that the marker was out there. I had to deliver. So I finally beat her in the Winchester Ladies Club Championship the summer I was 16. And I was I was 2 down with 9 holes to play, and then I played like the best 9 holes of my life. So that was really exciting. So then that meant the next summer I played in something like nine AJGA events and the US Girls Junior as well. So, but I had to beat her because she was really good.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, did history repeat itself in the family in a similar fashion down the road?
So almost. And everyone is like, so my 2 daughters are really good golfers. They actually, during COVID, they dropped from, because there was nothing else to do, right? Like other than school, there was no sports to play, but golf went on, and which we're also grateful for. But they were both about 24 handicaps, and then now they've both dropped down to like 2 or 3 handicaps. And So it's been exciting. My oldest daughter, Tori, she was recruited for golf and plays at Bates. She's a freshman there on the women's golf team. And then my other daughter, Mandy, so Tori's 19 and Mandy's 17. So this past summer, Mandy she works so hard and she's such a competitor. And in the Ladies Club Championship at Winchester it's a 2-day event. And I was paired with her. And on the ninth hole, the first day, there were a lot of people. The ninth hole, it's a par 3, and there were a lot of spectators around. And she took her gap wedge and holed it out. It's like for a hole in one. So her first hole in one in front of a gallery. So she was so excited. So she went on to shoot. I think she had 70. She had 77 that day, and I had a 79 or 7. No, I was like 78. So in any event, she had a 1-shot lead after the first day, and literally like everyone was rooting for her. And on the second day, and I heard my mom say to her on the tee, like, Mandy, go out there and beat your mom. And I turned to my mom. I was like, couldn't you be a little more subtle? Could you just like not say it in front of me? And so she was laughing. She's like, oh, your dad's still rooting for you because he knows you only have a couple more years left. I'm like, okay, great. But anyhow, so that next day, so I was 1 back, but I ended up shooting 75, and it came down. I had to sink a 4-footer on the 18th hole. She birdied 18 and forced me to make a 4-footer to win by 1. So it was exciting.
So not yet. History hasn't repeated itself, but it's
not yet. But
it's going to happen, right?
They have these unbelievable golf swings. So because I didn't start with video, and just their swings are great, and then in their short game, because they I work full time, so that they're like during the week practicing, and they're really good. It's been fun to see.
Yeah. Tracy Welch is our guest here on It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative to the tired, dumpy seltzers that a lot of people are drinking on the golf course, then give Party a try. And for a list of the places where you can find it, log on to the internet at drinkparty.com. And a big thanks to the real estate company. If your dream is to live on a golf course, or if you already live on one and you're looking to sell, no better golf real estate team on Florida's Southwest Coast than Vince Vizzacaro and Gene Walsh. You can find them at suncoastdreams.com, or you can call them at 941-220-4000. They're based at Lakewood National Golf Club, which is absolutely the premier real estate place in Florida. Some 1,500 homes, and 41 are available for sale and 100 available for rentals. So if that's something you're interested in, check them out, suncoastdreams.com. All right, back with Tracy here. What would you say your biggest win is, aside from beating your mother in the club championship? When did you feel like you arrived as a competitive golfer?
So like my biggest win when I was like feeling really excited about golf, or just like over the whole course of my golf career?
The course of your career. What is the one that you're most proud of, where you're just like, it just did the most for you, just personally, competitively, whatever?
So I would say probably I won the State Am at Brayburn Country Club, where they're actually going to host the USGA Women's Mid-Amateur Championship this year. But it's, a course with a lot of history. And so this was in July of 2006. And what was significant about that is I had my daughter, Mandy. She was born in April of 2006. So this was only 3 months later. And I played out of my mind all week. And it was 5 matches. And at least 3 of them went to the 18th hole. 1 went to the 19th hole. And there were a couple times that I just thought I was completely dead in the match. And in the quarterfinals, I eagled the 14th hole. And then the next day I was down, not playing well. Like I was down in the match. And then I eagled the 15th hole. It was kind of bizarre. And then then it came to the 18th hole in the finals, and I was in the middle of the fairway with a mid iron, and I was like, okay, you've hit the shot 1,000 times, and just do it again. And I put it on 10 feet above the hole, made the putt. It was a straight downhill. It was motoring, but it went in the cup. So to win the State Am a second time was like such a huge thrill. And then my dad caddied for me, and it was just so fun. It was great.
Yeah. You had Dr. Bob Rotella. There's a history of like Well, why don't you walk me through what a weekend with Dr. Bob Rotella is? Because there's a pretty good history when people go to visit him that they win soon thereafter. Your story is similar, but a little bit different for some interesting reasons.
Yeah, no. So Dr. Bob Rotella, obviously a highly, just an incredible sports psychologist. And my cousin Brad had worked very closely with him. And so through that, my cousin set up for me to go down there for a weekend. And I stayed at Bob and his wife's home in the Naples area. And it was really, for me, it was really interesting. And first I went in, I sat down and talked to him about golf. And one of the things, and he asked me a lot of questions about my golf. And one of the things he said to me is, that's like stuck with me since then, is that you really need to love your short game. And that was an eye opener for me, because I would have said the best part of my game was my, driving ability, like driving consistency. And I hadn't really thought of it that way before. I had read his books before I went. Golf's not a game of perfect. And so but just to think of it, golf in that way about loving your short game was interesting. And so then the next day I went and played with him at his course, 18 holes, and just hearing him say, there's no perfect shot at any time with the short game. So it was definitely an eye opener for me. But so the only thing was that when I went there, I was about 2 or 3 months pregnant. So that summer I didn't really end up playing too much golf. So, but my husband was like, write down everything you learned when I got back. And I did. And I still have that notebook and I look at it, and it's, just the lessons learned were very valuable for me.
Yeah, I can tell. All right. So you mentioned, I knew we were going to go there eventually. Let's just go there now. Your cousin, Brad, broadcaster right now, had a great career on the PGA Tour. How helpful has he been to you in your golf life?
Yeah, no, I mean, incredibly helpful. So first of all, he's like such a nice person, and his wife, Dory, is amazing. And I love spending time with them. He's 10 years older than me. So, I was a little kid when he was in college, and having, I think he was Collegiate Player of the Year, just an unbelievable collegiate career. And then obviously as a pro. But he's been helpful with my putting. I remember getting ready to go in a mid-am, and I was telling him I wasn't putting well. And so, we met down at Rhode Island Country Club, where he played out of, and he gave me a putting lesson on the 17th green, which was awesome. And then he's also been so helpful with my kids, my 3 kids, Tori, Mandy, and Bradford, encouraging them. We see him often in Florida when we went a couple years ago for his dad's birthday that he was hosting. And so he had the kids out there on the putting green, on the range. So it was great. But one thing that was kind of funny was I was playing with him, and I asked him a question about my putter, and he picked it up. He's like, this is like too light. The putter head was too light. And he's like, it looks too short for you. And so he was like giving me some suggestions. And he also thought the grip was like not a great grip. And so I didn't do anything right away with that. And then I was really like, he's like Rory McIlroy's putting coach. Like, what am I doing? Why am I not listening to his advice? So I now have this Scotty Cameron with the proper grip, the proper swing, like the proper weight in the head. So I'm all in.
I thought about Brad yesterday because I caddied for a relatively younger guy. He was in his mid-30s, and he had a ping my day, because that's really how it started with Brad. And then he got, set up with Scotty Cameron, and they kind of made similar stuff and everything. But I just looked at that, and I looked down, and I'm like, God, that just looks so good. And it browned out like the old pings, how they brown out and everything. Right. I'm like, oh man, what a good look. That's how I like a putter to look. Tracy Welch is our guest here, one of the most accomplished female golfers in the state of Massachusetts, 2-time winner of the state amateur and also the state open champion, which led to an invitation to play in an LPGA Tour event. What was that event, and what was that like?
So that was definitely one of the highlights of my career. It was amazing. It was in 1997, and I had just earlier that summer won the Mass Women's Open Championship. And the tournament was the Welch's Championship, which I'm not related to. It's the Welch's grape juice people. But I did have the right last name, and I was like a good local amateur. And so I got a last minute invitation to play in it. And my dad caddied for me. I had like so many of my friends and family came out to support me. It was so fun. But what made it like even more thrilling is I it was just one of those weeks where I just started to play so well. So I shot 73, 74. So I actually made the cut right on the number, which was, mind blowing.
Yeah, that's something.
And then, and so then I played the next 2 days. I think I went like 79, 78 or something like that. Like the next 2 days were sort of nondescript, but it was playing in this event was just like, it was just a thrill. The only thing that was like if there was like one thing I could change to make the story a little bit better is when I made the cut, I was in and I just missed by one group. I had the same score as her, but I wasn't paired with her with like Hall of Fame legend, like Betsy King. Like that would have been the icing on the cake. So I was in the group in front of her, but it was still like so cool.
Yeah. Oh man. Any chance I could have to play in a pro event, I think I'd be over the moon with that. Let's go back to college. You may be the most educated person I know. 3 degrees from very prestigious universities. Let's start with Dartmouth. Why did you go there for undergrad?
So I've always really liked school and been very academically driven. And my dad went to Harvard and played hockey there. But at the time, Harvard didn't have a women's golf team. They do now, but they didn't back then. And so so Dartmouth and Yale did, and I really loved Dartmouth. I just being up. I love to ski too when it's the off season, and just it just looks like the quintessential college in Hanover, New Hampshire. So I chose to go there, and because I'd played the AJGA, and a lot of the people that I was playing with, they were going to Southern schools. But I knew I didn't want to be a professional golfer, and I wanted golf to be part of my experience, but not my whole experience. And Dartmouth was absolutely perfect for that.
Right. And then Harvard Business School. Why there?
So I went from Dartmouth. I went straight to University of Virginia Law School.
Oh, okay.
I went to law school before Harvard Business School, and law school. So while I love Dartmouth, it was very cold. And so when I was selecting law schools, I wanted to be in a warmer spot. And Virginia also very much known as being one of the top corporate law schools in the country. So I went to UVA, and Charlottesville is a great place. It was a terrific 3 years. I actually met my husband there. I sat in front of him in corporate tax class, so I met him there. And
whoa, no, stop right there, because I'm a sucker for romance stories. I know you love the romantic story between Kevin Roy and his wife Annie. Mm-hmm. How do you fall in love in corporate tax class? How does that work?
You don't. But I just the course was so hard. It was it was tough. But so I met him, and then and so I practiced corporate law for a couple of years in Boston, and I wanted to get more on the business side. So I went to Harvard Business School and graduated from there in 2000. So I transitioned from corporate law to business and finance.
I got it. Let's get into the golf and what you're doing now, because that's really how I know you. I think when I caddied for you, they were social rounds, but they were kind of business rounds. And I think the golf course is an incredible place to keep business, to earn new business. What are you doing now? I mean, much of your professional life has, at least since I've known you, has been in the financial sector.
Right. I've always been in finance since 2000. And I joined a global investment bank, Credit Suisse, right out of Harvard Business School. And I was there for 19 years. And then I transitioned to the wealth management side, joining one of my former clients. And recently, or I guess 3 years ago now, so I had the opportunity to join Clarendon Private, and that's where I'm working now. I'm the head of wealth advisory, which is a client-facing role. Clarendon Private, we're a boutique wealth management firm. And so working with high net worth individuals, families, endowments, and foundations. And it's been really exciting. The reason why we were created and why we were founded was my boss, Mark White, the CEO. He's a former vice chairman of JP Morgan Private Bank. And he was asked to build out Clarendon Private. And the idea being that a lot of the big firms, they're too big, too impersonal. And so we're a boutique where you have the same best-in-class investments, but then you get the customization, the personalized service, and that just really high-level client service. So no 1-800 numbers. So I'm working with clients and both new and existing. So golf's really important in that role for me.
Because you really get to know them on a personal level. And I'm a big believer of golf revealing character. It's just like, how are they when the chips are down? How are they when because at some point in a round, things are going to get a little bit sideways. And I just think it's the perfect opportunity. I mean, did you see that all along, that like somehow golf and being a good golfer was going to help you in business and life later on?
I think, obviously not when I was like a teenager. It wasn't something that I thought about, but I definitely was like aware when I was going through, certainly through college and graduate school. And also, my mom had told me that golf had always been super helpful for her. She said that she got her first job through golf. But it's a great opportunity, as you said, to get out on the course, get to know people. And often you might not be talking business on the golf course. Maybe that comes afterwards or before at lunch, after dinner, during a drink. But it's that opportunity to get to know them in a social setting that's, usually pretty fun. And it's also the exposure to people that you might not otherwise have met. And for me, for example, early on in my career at Credit Suisse, I got invited to an investment banking golf outing at Shinnecock. And so it was I had the opportunity to play this magnificent course, but also meet other people in our organization that were much more senior than me that I wouldn't have otherwise met, and that people that could be like a mentor or a sponsor for my career. So it's been helpful in that way as well.
Everything I have in my life, ultimately, there's a profound golf connection. Like my wife, ultimately, because I went to Purdue and I met her there. Every job I've ever had, there was a golf connection to things. It's such a good conversation starter. I can't imagine what my life would be without golf. What would your life be like without golf? Or is that just a hard place to go to because, maybe your story's similar to mine?
I mean, it is hard to conceive of because it's something I do so much with my family, like growing up with my parents and then obviously my extended family. And it's the type of sport, like my grandfather, he made it to like 99 and a half and he was still out there playing golf at 92. So, that type of camaraderie and, the enjoyment that you can have with other members of your family, that would be hard to replace. And, my husband and I, he didn't play much before we met. And, I would describe him like as a weekend warrior. Like he loves to get out there and practice. And so I find that so valuable. Now, having said that, I'm very fortunate. I have a great family. If, suddenly I couldn't play golf tomorrow, I'd be okay. And when it snows in the winter here, I don't play golf. We go do other stuff. We go ski. So, but it is something that brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah. It's a good life. So, the family thing, I keep hearing that theme, going back to your grandparents, your parents, now your children, everybody's involved. What are those family games like with the Adams and Welsh families? Does it get a little competitive? Is there any trash talking? Is it hashed out over dinner afterwards? Take me there.
So we don't trash talk. So I know that might be surprising to people, but we don't. And I'm a little bit different than them because I'm the mom and I with my 3 kids, I want to see them do well. So yes, do I want to win? Do I want to beat them? Like when I was playing against my daughter, of course, but I want to win because I played well, not because she played poorly. It really makes me happy to see them improving. And my son, Bradford, who, just turned 16. I mean, he kills the ball. It's so fun to see how far he can hit it. And just the progress he's made. He's got a nice high, his swing finish, it looks like Colin Montgomery. It's nice and high finish. And it's really fun. But the kids themselves, they're super competitive with each other.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, as the mom, do you ever have to referee it and break things up and remind them that that's not a nice way to talk to your sister or your brother? I mean, because listen, my mom was breaking up fights all the time between me and my brothers.
We've had that in the past. I think right now, given that they're at like 16, 17, and 19, it's more that it like simmers under the surface. But, the two girls and my son, who hits it furthest, who's like, who's had more pars in a row. And so, yeah. So my husband and I, we stay pretty level-headed out there on this one.
That's cool. Hey, Trace, we're winding things down. We're getting a little tight on time here. What is, I know you're not playing much now because the weather's crappy up north, but what was the state of your game when you put the clubs away for a little bit? And what's next for you in a competitive standpoint, or just whatever with golf in your life?
So usually like kind of from like the late fall until March, I don't really play. And then, or I pick the clubs back up in March. So that's what I'm really excited about. My kids have spring break in March. So we're going to go to Florida to see my parents. And so that will be like a nice intensive week of golf. And then I'm playing in a mass event at the end of April. So I need to get ready for that. And then
that's coming up.
Yeah. And then my first big event in the season, which I'm really excited for, is in Southampton on Long Island at National Golf Links of America, which is one of the most magnificent golf courses in the world. They started 3 years ago, a women's invitational, and Augusta has the amazing event for the amateurs, and National has an event for the mid-amas and the seniors. And so I'm so looking forward to playing there. It's just really beautiful on the water.
Well, if one of your family members is not able to caddy for you, or your regular caddy, if you need a backup bum, just give me a call. Yeah, we'll come up and I'll tend the pin just how you like it. If we're still going to do that, or if we're not going to do that. Listen, I enjoy catching up with you. You're an inspiration, I know, to a lot of people because you've played good golf, and as we get more and more women playing, I have daughters, and I'm going to tell them about you because as they spread their wings and get out of the nest and off the payroll and into business, I think golf can be very helpful to them and very enjoyable. And you're proof of that. So thank you for joining us here, and let's keep in touch. All right.
Cool with that? It's a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, Tracy, and tell the family I said hi as well.
Will do.
Yes. All right. Big thanks to our title sponsors. Just sit with me here, Tracy, as I finish up here. Party Drinks. If you're looking for a great drink alternative, check out drinkparty.com for a list of the different locations. And if golf and purchase of real estate or sale of it on a golf course is in your cards, no better place than Lakewood National Golf Club, and no better real estate team than Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. You can find them at suncoaststreams.com. For Tracy Welch, I'm Kevin Walsh. We'll see you again next time on It's Party Time, my golf story.
You've been listening to It's Party Time, my golf story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers, and the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoaststreams.com or call 941-220-4000.
This is Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh with the suncoaststreams.com real estate team at Fine Properties. We've helped hundreds of families find their dream homes in golf and resort communities in Lakewood Ranch, Bradenton, Sarasota, Parrish, Venice, and the surrounding areas.
Let us be your guides to finding your dream home here as well. Learn more at suncoaststreams.com or call us at 941-220-4000.